You know, there's a debut song in the countdown by a Canadian superstar that tells the story of a mysterious shipwreck on one of the Great Lakes. It happened a year ago. 29 men died in that sea tragedy. I'll have details and the hit song dedicated to the ship's crew coming up.
The hits from coast to coast. American Top 40.
From the rocky coast of Maine to the sandy shores of Hawaii, we do it every week. We count down the 40 biggest hits in the USA. It's time now for the second debut song. This is by a Canadian superstar who says he wrote this as a tribute to the 29 men who died in a mysterious shipwreck. It happened in the fall of 1975 while a huge ore freighter, the Edmund Fitzgerald, was sailing on Lake Superior in northern Ontario. It was just about 7 o'clock at night in the middle of a fierce November storm when the captain of the Edmund Fitzgerald radioed a call for help to another ship nearby. But just as the call was being received by the other ship, the Edmund Fitzgerald disappeared from their radar screen. The freighter had gone down. Well, the investigators still don't know for sure exactly what happened that night. Studies done on sonar readings that were taken show that the Edmund Fitz broke suddenly in two pieces just before it sank. One theory is that the ship was caught simultaneously by two big waves, lifted the boat up, snapped it in the middle. Another theory is that the boat was hit by a giant wave just about midship, and the power of that wave caused the ship to split in two. Well, whatever the real cause was, 29 men died in that sea tragedy, and recently superstar singer-composer Gordon Lightfoot, who grew up in the Great Lakes area himself, wrote a song as a tribute to the ship's crew. Coming in at number 38 this week, Gordon Lightfoot with The Story of the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. At number 38, that debuts this week in American Top 40. That was Gordon Lightfoot.
American Top 40.
We're counting down America's most popular songs by the world's most popular artists. And now it's that time of the year for that AT40 Extra. That number 2 smash called The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The song in which singer Gordon Lightfoot told the true story of 29 men who drowned in a storm on Lake Superior back in 1975. Now, what Gordon's song didn't tell was how in two other storms many years before, on that same terrible date of November 11th, Lake Superior had swallowed more than 300 men in 17 different ships. And November of 1975 was the Edmund Fitzgerald's unfortunate turn. On a Sunday afternoon, the huge cargo ship left port at the western tip of Lake Superior. She was heading for Cleveland with a full load of iron ore. The ship had cost $7 million to build and was longer than 2 football fields. The crew were all experienced men, and the captain had been sailing the Great Lakes for 44 years. By next afternoon, they found themselves in a fierce November storm. Winds of hurricane force were whipping the waves up to 30-foot crests. Well, it was during the night of November 10th, or the early morning of November 11th, that the Edmund Fitzgerald broke apart and went down. And that tragedy, 10 years ago on November 11th, was history repeating itself. On November 11th, 1930, a storm on Lake Superior had destroyed 5 ships and drowned 67 people. On November 11th, 1913, on Lake Superior, a storm had sunk 12 ships and drowned 254 people. A tragic but incredible coincidence. There were no survivors when the Edmund Fitzgerald went down 10 years ago. Her wreckage was found the following year in 1976, but no one knows exactly what happened or how it was for those 29 men who died that night. But it probably was much the way Gordon Lightfoot tells it.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down, if the big bird come early.
From 1976, an American Top 40 Extra, the number 2 smash by Gordon Lightfoot that tells the true, sad story of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. There's a footnote regarding the date of the storm that sank the Edmund Fitzgerald, November 11th. Twice before, on that same date in 1930 and in 1913, other storms had taken ships and lives in Lake Superior. And 2 of our listeners, twin sisters in Baltimore, Maryland, Robin and Barry Rader, pointed out to us that the bizarre coincidence goes even further. all three of those lethal storms had occurred not only on the 11th day of November, but on the same day of the week, Tuesday. And the countdown continues on American Top 40.
The hits from coast to coast.